Imagine for a second that living in society is basically like playing a massive multiplayer game, or maybe being signed up for a mandatory premium subscription service, right? You've got roads, schools, hospitals, and national defense all running in the background. But here's the catch. How much does your subscription actually cost? How does the developer, in this case the government, decide exactly what you owe them for accessing the servers of real life? Well, welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to break down exactly how this works by looking at the 4 primary tax ladders. Think about it this way. When you buy a gaming battle pass, those fees pay for server maintenance, bug fixes, dropping new maps, the whole shebang. Government taxes operate on that exact same logic. Your taxes pay for public goods, national defense, and infrastructure. But unlike a standard battle pass where literally everyone pays a flat $10, the government has different pricing tiers based on your wallet. The big question we're answering today is, how exactly does the government calculate your specific fee as you start making more money?
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today's Explainer. 1. Tier 1, the flat rate. 2. Tier 2, the luxury scale-up. 3. Tier 3, the inverse trap. 4. Tier 4, the Indian model. And finally, number 5, the whiteboard guide, where we'll plot these all out side by side.
All right, kicking things off with Tier 1, the flat rate, or as it's technically called, proportional taxation.
Let's start with our baseline subscription. Proportional taxation is a system where the rate of taxation remains exactly the same as the income of the taxpayer increases. The percentage is completely locked in. No matter how much you grind and level up your income in the real world, the government's percentage cut doesn't change one bit. And this brilliantly illustrates the math behind it. Say you're earning 5 lakhs a year, your tax rate is 20%. If you crush it and double your income to 10 lakhs a year, your tax rate is still exactly 20%. Now, obviously, 20% of 10 lakhs is a larger absolute chunk of money than 20% of 5 lakhs. Your total tax bill goes up, for sure. But the proportion of your income that gets taxed remains totally flat. Moving right along to Tier 2, the luxury scale-up, also known as progressive taxation.
But what if the government decides that people who earn more should carry a heavier percentage of the server costs? Enter the progressive model. Here, the rate of taxation increases as the taxpayer's income increases. So, as your wallet expands, the percentage the government takes expands right along with it. It literally scales up with your success.
Notice how this looks in practice. At 5 lakhs of income, the tax rate is a relatively chill 10%. But if you manage to hit the big leagues and reach 20 lakhs, whoa, your tax rate jumps all the way up to 30%. In a progressive system, your tax liability increases in 2 ways. Your total absolute bill goes up, and the actual proportion of your income being taxed goes up too. You're paying more money at a much higher speed.
Now for Tier 3, the inverse trap, or regressive taxation.
Okay, so we're shifting to a system that might sound, well, a little upside down. Regressive taxation is a system in which the rate of taxation actually decreases as the taxpayer's income increases. It's a highly counterintuitive concept, right? It means that earning more money actually lowers the percentage of tax you owe. Now, what's really fascinating here is the trajectory. A person earning 5 lakhs is taxed at 20%. But a person earning double that, 10 lakhs, slides down to a 15% rate. Keep in mind, the absolute total cash paid by the richer person might still be higher, but the rate, the speed at which their income is drained, drops as they get wealthier. The real-world impact of this tier is severe. Because the rate is higher at the bottom and lower at the top, regressive taxation puts the absolute heaviest burden on the lowest income groups. It's literally an inverse trap where the less you make, the harder your remaining dollars are squeezed proportionately. Bringing it home with Tier 4, the Indian model, technically known as digressive taxation. This right here is the real-world income tax structure utilized in India today. Degressive taxation is a tax where the rate of progression does not increase in the same proportion as the increase in income. I know, that's a bit of a mouthful, but essentially, it's a mildly progressive blend. The rate scales up as you earn more, but eventually it starts to lose its momentum. Let's break down the math on this to see that momentum shift in action. On the first step, your income jumps from 5 lakh to 10 lakh. That's a 100% income boost. Your tax rate jumps from 5% to 10%, also a 100% increase. Perfect progression. But look at the next step. Your income goes from 10 lakh to 15 lakh. That's a 50% income increase. But your tax rate? It only goes from 10% to 14%,
which is just a 40% rate increase. So the tax rate is definitely climbing, but it's lagging behind your income growth.
Let's move to the next phase and see how this builds out practically. In a digressive system, you basically start off exactly like the progressive tier. As you earn more, your rate goes up. But step 2 is the real game changer. Beyond a certain limit, the system caps out and switches entirely to a uniform proportional rate. It locks into a ceiling. You climb the ladder, but eventually, the ladder stops extending and just levels straight out.
Finally, let's jump into the whiteboard guide, plotting the trajectories.
We've got our 4 models: flat rate, luxury scale-up, inverse trap, and the Indian model. To truly master this, let's set up a mental coordinate plane to plot them side by side. Imagine the vertical y-axis. That's plotting the tax rate percentage. The higher up you go, the higher the percentage the government takes. Across the bottom, on the horizontal x-axis, we're tracking income. Moving right means you are making more money.
So the crucial point is visualizing how these paths look on that graph. Proportional taxation, just a flat, horizontal line straight across. The rate never changes. Progressive taxation, that's a line steadily rising upward from left to right, more income, higher rate. Regressive taxation is a falling line, sloping downward, more income, lower rate. And degressive taxation starts as a rising line just like progressive, but then it curves off and flattens out into a completely horizontal ceiling. 4 totally distinct paths for collecting the funds that run our society.
So what does this all mean? We've seen exactly how the math works, from proportional flats to regressive traps. But understanding the math is really only half the battle. The real challenge is deciding which system actually makes the most sense. Look at the 4 models we've explored today and ask yourself, which of these 4 pricing tiers creates the most equitable, fair system to fund the servers of our real-world society? I'll let you debate that one. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning how the system works.